So today we are going to look at ENS, or rather what you call the Ethereum Name Service. And under that, we look at traditional centralized domain, that is the DNS. Then we're going to look at Ethereum Name Service, which is the decentralized domain name system. Then how to make money with ENS. And that's where we're going to end this class at, because I figured that airdrops deserves a class on its own. So we look at airdrops tomorrow. So let's start. Before we even look at what Ethereum Name Service is, has anyone ever interacted with the domain names? For example, Kenya Crypto Magazine. If you have a website or anything, if you've interacted with any domain names, kindly thumbs up. Any domain name. Yes, you have whatsapp.com, google.com. Yes, so before even discussing ENS, let's discuss domain name so that we can actually understand what ENS is. So let's walk through an example of using a domain name like kenyacryptomagazine.com to explain how traditional domains name system works. So that we can understand how the traditional domain name works, and then compare it to how ENS, or the Ethereum Name Service, operates in the decentralized space. So let's look at the traditional domain. So in traditional web domain, like for example, kenyacryptomagazine.com, the process involves the following. Number one, the domain registration. So the domain, when you say domain registration, the user registers the domain, Kenya Crypto. In this case, we are using Kenya Crypto Magazine as an example. So the user registers the domain, kenyacryptomagazine.com, through a domain registrar like GoDaddy, Namecheap, or Google Domain. Or also you can use, I used Hostinger in this case when I was registering Kenya Crypto Magazine. So the registrars are centralized organization, and centralized is in bold to mean they are controlled. They are centralized organization that manage domain names by working with ICANN, the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers, to ensure each domain name is unique. So what do we mean by this? So by the different companies, or rather, yes, different companies like GoDaddy, Namecheap, Google Domain, Hostinger, will work together with the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, so that, for example, in this case, because I bought kenyacryptomagazine.com from Hostinger, it then means that name will be unavailable across all companies, because remember, they all get these names from where? From ICANN, the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names. So if you go to GoDaddy and look for kenyacryptomagazine.com, it will say that the domain has already been bought and is in use. If you go to Namecheap, the same. If you go to Google Domain, the same. So to get the domain, the user searches for the availability of the desired domain. If it is available, they purchase it for a certain period of time, typically 1 year or more, by paying a registration fee. For example, I have subscribed to that name, domain name, kenyacryptomagazine.com, meaning that it will be unavailable for 1 year. So if my 1 year lapses, I bought it in September date 9. So if my 1 year lapses, then, and I have not renewed my subscription, then that name will be sent back, that domain name will be sent back into the centralized organization, and someone else can actually take that name. So I need to renew that domain name yearly, every year. So if someone else already owns the domain, the user may need to either wait for it to expire or purchasing it from a different, from the current owner. Number one, there are 3 ways you can get a domain. Number one, wait for it to expire. Number two, try purchasing it from the current owner. Or number 3, choose a different domain name. For example, you can go with kenyacryptomagazine.ke because the .com has already been taken. So the DNS, domain name system, once registered, this is the third step. Once registered, Kenya Crypto Magazine gets linked to a DNS name system that maps the domain name to the web hosting server IP address. So the DNS translates to the human readable domain name like Kenya Crypto Magazine into a machine readable IP address like this, what you are seeing right now, allowing browsers to access the website by connecting to the server where the website is hosted. Then number four, they now go, the next process of this is go to website hosting. The website content, HTML, is stored in a server, whatever. This is not important. What I wanted us to look to understand is basically how the traditional domain system works. And you've seen that number one, first of all, establish the name you want to use, go to this centralized organization, get a name, and actually purchase it. Purchase it for a certain period of time, and you'll keep on renewing it. So, and under the last part is the domain users need to renew their domains periodically and typically annually to mean yearly. If they fail to renew, the domain may expire and it will become available for others to purchase. So having understood how the DNS works, then we can now look into what the Ethereum Name Service is. Any question before we move to ENS? Any question up to that part? Thomas, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. So let's look at the Ethereum Name Service. So now let's compare this process of how ENS works in a decentralized way. I think this should be in bold. In a decentralized way on the Ethereum blockchain. So ENS is the same as the DNS that you've looked at, the domain name service, but in this case it is decentralized. And under you're saying the ENS is a decentralized domain name system built on the Ethereum ecosystem. So it allows users to convert long, complex Ethereum addresses. For example, if I want to send you Ethereum, I'll ask you for your Ethereum address, and to be more specific, I might ask for your the specific network. For example, I'll ask for Ethereum address on the BEP20 network or Ethereum address on the TRC network, depending on what network we'll use, and that address will be in this format. For example, if you look at this, you can tell that this is a BEP20 address because it starts with an OX. If it was a Tron address, it would have started with something like TR or something. But now, because it starts with an OX, it is probably an BEP20 address, or what we call the Binance Smart Chain network. So it allows users to convert these long addresses into human readable names, similar to how traditional DNS converts IP addresses into website URLs. So what does ENS do? ENS enables users to associate human readable names like your name.eth with Ethereum addresses, smart contracts, and other decentralized sources. So it makes it easier for people to send cryptocurrencies to you, to interact with the decentralized application, and access decentralized website without needing to remember or input a hexadecimal Ethereum address. So in short, what this is saying is, instead of me asking you for Ethereum address and you send me all these, and you cannot actually cram this whole thing. So what the Ethereum name service does is that I can actually replace all these with a simple thing like wanjikokaranja.eth. So if anyone wants to send me Ethereum or crypto, any type of crypto, I'll just give them my ENS, which is Ethereum name service. And in this case, the example you're using is wanjikokaranja.eth. So when they have that, it's easy to remember, number one, and it's easy also for people to send me crypto. Remember, having all this number, you have a number of things that can happen. You can actually misname this one, send like that. You can actually miss a number or a letter because it's a lot of numbers and letters. So in short, the ENS will replace all this with a simple name that is easier for people to understand, to send me cryptocurrency, to interact with decentralized applications, and access decentralized website without needing to remember or input a long hexadecimal Ethereum address. So what do you mean by hexadecimal? Hexadecimal number system means it consists of 16 characters, 0 to 9, or A to F, and an example of an hexadecimal Ethereum address is what we've been talking about right here. So how does Ethereum Name Service work? So number one, similarly to the DNS, which is the domain name service, and you'll say that the main difference between the ENS and the DNS is what? The main difference between ENS and DNS. ENS for Ethereum Name Service and DNS for Domain Name Service. Which is the main difference? The main difference between the two, ENS and DNS. Pius?
DNS converts name to IP, while converts the domain to IP address, while DNS helps you convert the wallet address to a simple the hexadecimal wallet address to a simple I don't know how to explain that.
Okay, that's a good trial. Let's appreciate Pius. Okay, let's have Thomas.
Just to add that for ENS, it operates within the Ethereum network space, and for DNS, it's structured within the ICANN network, which is IP address based for internet addressing.
Yes, let's appreciate Thomas. That's basically it. Both of them are correct. Number one, the domain name service, it will convert an IP address to a more readable format. For example, we can see that the DNS is the domain name service. In this case, we are using Kenya Crypto Magazine as an example. So for you to remember kenyacryptomagazine.com is much easier than being given an IP address to access that site. So that's the first thing. And in comparison to the ENS, it will convert your long addresses, 16, we have sent this the 16 hexadecimal address to something that is you can remember quite easily. Number two is what Thomas has mentioned. The ENS is based on the Ethereum ecosystem, but the DNS, you can buy domain names from different companies, but they work together with the ICANN. And the last one, which is the most important difference, is the DNS is centralized, but the ENS is decentralized. So ENS, how it works, let's go back to this part. That was just a refresher. How it works, the ENS functions similarly to the DNS, but it is built on the Ethereum smart contract framework. And this is how it works. Number one, just like we said with the DNS, you need to register a domain name. Remember when we said that you need to register kenyacryptomagazine.com? So that's the same thing. In ENS, you need to register a domain name, and it ends, because it's on the Ethereum ecosystem, it must end with .eth. For example, Hercute.eth. By interacting with the ENS smart contract, the registration requires paying a fee. Remember, we said the same about the kenyacryptomagazine.com. We said that if you want to register a domain name on the centralized way, you need to do what? Pay a small fee, and you have seen it is normally annual to mean yearly. So the registration requires let me go back here. The registration requires paying a fee and bidding for the name using Ethereum. So for you to actually buy this domain name, or rather the Ethereum name service, you need to do what? You need Ethereum. Send Ethereum to your wallet. Connect to where these names get sent. I'll show you in a few. Then you can be able to buy these domain names. So resolving ENS name. This is the next point. After registering an ENS domain, users can map it on Ethereum wallet address which is a decentralized website hosted by IPF. Remember the other part we were saying, they get mapped to what? To the ICANN or other decentralized file system or blockchain-based resource. So when someone enters an ENS domain in an ENS compatible wallet or browser, the system resolves the name into a corresponding address. In short, what this is saying is, once you bought that domain, you need to map it to a wallet address so that every time someone uses that name, for example, uses that ENS, for example, wanjikokaranja.eth, the system, or rather the blockchain, can relate wanjikokaranja.eth to that address that was mapped to that ENS name. So these basically examples. These are my friends, Hackett.eth and ArnoldKevin.eth. Arnold Kevin owns a school called Apex Crypto Academy. You can check it out. So these are examples of ENS name service. You can use it on as your bio, on your Instagram or whatever. But mainly you have said those names can be used to do what? To receive crypto with it. So let's look at key features of ENS. Number one, simplified addressing. This we've looked at. Instead of using a complex Ethereum address, all those 16 hexadecimal numbers, you can use a name like ArnoldKevin.eth to receive payment or interact with decentralized application. Number two, multi-blockchain support. Well, ENS is built on Ethereum. It is also compatible with addresses on other blockchains like Bitcoin and Litecoin. Users can map multiple cryptocurrencies address to the same ENS. And wonder we are saying, if you have an ENS name, for example, wanjikokaranja.eth, then it doesn't mean that I'll only receive Ethereum using that domain name. I can map other addresses to that ENS, and I can receive different cryptocurrencies across the board. So subdomains. ENS allows the creation of subdomains such as wallet.yourname.eth. For example, if I want to have different domain names for different things, for example, I want this to be receiving BTC, I want this to be receiving Ethereum, then I can have subdomains. I can have wallet.wanjikokaranja.eth. I can have blog.kenyacryptomagazine.eth. So it actually allows subdomains. The fourth key feature is decentralized hosting. I've mentioned this, that the ENS is decentralized. So ENS can be used for decentralized websites hosted on systems like IPF, the interplanetary file system. These websites can be accessed using browsers or extensions that support the ENS domain system. So you can actually use ENS to access decentralized websites, or rather what you call the dApps, the decentralized application. So let's look at use cases of ENS. Number one, what you've been mentioning all this while. Number one, you can send and receive crypto with your ENS name, wanjikokaranja.eth. Associate your ENS domain with your Ethereum wallet to receive payment without sharing a long address. I think that you've mentioned a couple of times over this class. Then number two, decentralized websites. In this we say websites hosted on decentralized file system like IPFS can be accessed through ENS domains, providing an alternative to traditional web hosting. Then lastly, we are saying identity and branding. Individuals or organizations can use ENS for online identities, branding their blockchain presence with a custom domain name like your company.eth. So just to relate this with DNS, which I've said the decentralized name service or the domain name service, which is the traditional one. For example, before even the internet started, this is just a random question. Before even the internet started, you had known about domain name service and bought the domain name safaricom.com. What do you think would happen years later when Safaricom now has launched and they actually want that name? What do you think would happen? They want that name. we are saying, given an example, for example, like in the 2000, you know that the internet will boom and you actually buy the domain name safaricom.com. Then years later, Safaricom, I think, started in 2007 or something, I can't remember. Years later, Safaricom is in dire need of that domain name, safaricom.com. What do you think will happen? Pius?
They can engage you to sell the domain to them.
Yes, they can engage you to sell the domain to them. That's the first option. Number 2, Joseph? Joseph Okari?
They can look for another domain.
Yes, they can
look for another domain.
Yes, they can look for another domain. Anyway, let's appreciate Joseph and Pius. Both answers are correct. They either engage you to get that domain or they look for another domain. For example, because now safaricom.com is being owned, they can go and look for safaricom.ke, safaricom.co.ke or something. But I want us to look into a situation where the only domain they want is safaricom.com, because number one, it's easy. Many people are very used to safaricom.com, and the answer I'll go with is the answer that Pius gave. They actually come and look for you, and they bid a price for you to sell to them. So imagine what would have happened. You would have made a lot of money, because Safaricom is a big brand, and because they are in dire need of this safaricom.com. And we have said that if I buy a domain name safaricom.com, there's no other place or any other place that will get that domain. So you are the only sole provider of that name. So you can actually control how much money you want to sell that domain name for. And that's just a by the way. So let's go to this other part. The use cases. We are looking at the use cases. We have talked about the identity and branding, and no wonder I've mentioned that part about safaricom.com. So how do we get these ENS names? So I'll go to this place. There's actually a site that provides these. There are two of them. Let me just get them. Yes, we have this site that is called the ENS.domain, ENS for Ethereum Name Service, and we also have this next one for the unstoppable domains. So let's see. If you want to come and look for a domain name, you can use this site. Register your name today. Find your name. Let's look if someone already owns Safaricom. What do you think? Do you think someone already owns safaricom.eth before you even search? Safaricom.eth. Joseph?
No.
No? Okay, Joseph says no. Someone with a different opinion? Pius?
Pardon, please.
Do you think if you search safaricom.eth, right here, if you search safaricom.eth, do you think someone already owns it or it's still available?
I guess yes.
It's still available?
No.
It's not available. Why do you think so?
Because a scammer might buy it so that you can confuse people.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good opinion. But let's look. My guess is it's not available. People are very smart already. Safaricom. I'm very sure someone has already bought it. They're just waiting for Safaricom to adopt Web3.eth. You can also go to this other site. We've said if one site, if someone has bought it, all the sites will say that that domain name has been sold. Safaricom.eth. Let's search. You see, you need to connect your wallet. We've said if you want to buy an Ethereum name service, you need Ethereum in your wallet, and it needs to what? You you need some Ethereum in your wallet, then connect this site to your Ethereum, to your wallet, so that you can use that Ethereum to buy this. So number one, let's look at ethereum.eth. So the parent name expires when this address is the address that owns safaricom.eth, but actually what is safaricom.eth? Not safaricom.eth. Safaricom.eth. Already registered. Can you see that part written registered right there? It's already owned by someone, and in this place you can see the address that owns it right here, and this person registered this name August 31st 2020, and has always been what do we call it, renewing it, has always been renewing it every other time. So you can see that the grace period ends in November 29th 2026, and I'm very sure after November 29th 2026 they'll still renew it so that they can hold on to that name. It's an investment strategy. Remember I said there are different ways you can earn in crypto. This is another way of earning in crypto, and we look at examples of people who actually sold ENS domain names for a lot of money. For example, this person is actually doing the same thing. He's holding to this domain name, safaricom.eth, because we said the Web3. Remember, we started from Web 1. We are now on Web 2. So in the future, all systems will need to move to the Web 3. And once system starts to move to the Web 3, Safaricom will be in dire need of this ENS name, which is safaricom.eth. So this person is actually, this is a form of an investment. They've bought this domain name so that when all the systems will be adopting the Web3, or rather what we call the blockchain ecosystem, then Safaricom will look for him and they'll actually sell that domain name for a lot of money. Let's look at if it is if what you are saying is true. So safaricom.eth, I want to see if it's available. It's already taken. If you can see taken, thumbs up right here. Taken. I cannot see my mouse on this other. Can you see my mouse? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So yes, safaricom.eth. It has already been taken. And if you are keen to look at the address of this person, you'll see it's the same address, 2148. It's the same address, 2148. If you can see that, 2148. Yes, perfect. So the same person who bought, he might have bought it from this site, but remember what we said, they work together with the ICF something, I think of IC something, whatever. So that is basically a system that updates that even if this different company, the ENS domains are sold this domain name, it will automatically be unavailable for all other companies that are selling this ENS name, like unstoppable.com. So you can see from this case, this person has bought that name. And for you to completely be sure that this person is actually a legit person, it doesn't intend to scam, but otherwise they are treating this as an investment, is because you can see they have actually left their email address here, so that in case Safaricom is in dire need of this ENS name, they'll be able to contact him or her directly. So it's a form of investment. So if you want to buy, come to Unstoppable Domain or safaricom.eth and come and buy from those sites. Thomas, you have a question?
It's not really a serious question, but it could be Safaricom who have protected that brand. But the other thing is that at what time can this be considered to be infringement of private and of brand infringement? And is there legislation, global, whatever that caters for that? Because this is likely to happen for many brands.
Yes. Number one, I'll just say this. Number one, remember, even with the traditional name system, it doesn't matter. They're not infringing with that. I'm not the one who provided these domain names. Me, I've just come into this site. I did not create that domain name. The Ethereum Name Service has that name. What I've done is basically buy that domain. No wonder I gave you an example even with the traditional name service. If you invested in that name safaricom.com even before the internet came, and later on Safaricom works out, then it means they'll have to look for you to sell that domain name to them. For example, kenyacryptomagazine.com. kenyacryptomagazine.com is just a domain name that came into my mind after I've already had that name. For example, I might want wanjikokarana. Let's look. For example, probably it's even owned. Wanjiku.eth. Remember, companies you can see it's already registered. Companies can share names. You can have Apex Crypto Academy, and another different person who has Apex Cereal Shop. So all of you are looking for apex.eth. You get. I don't think there's no better way I can explain this. I hope you're getting it, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes, no name is unique. So you can find this person, wanjiko.eth, has already bought that one. So if I add Karanja, let's see. You can see now it's now available. Can you see that? Thomas?
Yes, I can. Actually, that's clear. I had a similar situation also registering
Your domain
name. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if I feel I really just want my domain name to be wanjiko.com.eth, what I'll do, I'll now look for this person. For example, maybe they're not using this domain name, they're just holding into it. So I'll just contact them and they can sell that domain name to me. Just the same way how the traditional domain works, is also the same way the ENS system works. So moving back to this, we have looked at how this domain name works, and we have looked at how to get them. Search for the available name. I think that you've done. Once on site, search for the desired name to check if it's available for registration. Then bid and pay for fees. And in this case, you'll need Ethereum. Remember, the ENS is on the Ethereum ecosystem. So you need Ethereum in your wallet. Connect your wallet. For example, maybe it's MetaMask. Connect it to this part. Let's see. I have MetaMask here. You can see it reads MetaMask. All those wallets that you've put in your desktop, connect to that and buy those addresses using those domain names using Ethereum. Number 3 is set the resolver. After registration, you can set the resolver contract to map the ENS name to the Ethereum address or another source. Basically, this is saying, remember those addresses that we talked about? You map that address to that domain name, or not domain name, to that Ethereum name service, the ENS, so that every time your ENS name is somewhere, it can actually connect itself to that address. So let's move to integration with dApps and wallets. So we've looked at that already. So many Ethereum wallets and dApps support ENS, making it easy to use ENS names when sending and receiving crypto. That you've done. So popular wallets like MetaMask and Trust Wallet, they recognize ENS domain, providing a seamless experience for users. Let me see if no, I haven't logged into my, but I'll send a screenshot of the same. A screenshot of where when you're sending crypto to someone using MetaMask, it actually gives you 3 options. Number 1, we covered that. It can give you a QR code to scan that wallet address. Number 2, you can actually manually copy that wallet address. That is a decimal system. And number 3, it will give you an option of using the ENS, the Ethereum Name Service. So if you don't want to input that long address, what you do, just get the Ethereum Name Service of the receiver that you're sending Ethereum to, and you can use it you can use that instead. So benefits of ENS: number 1, user friendly. It simplifies the process of interacting with Ethereum and other blockchain. Number 2, security. Since the ENS is decentralized and uses smart contracts, it offers enhanced security compared to the traditional DNS system that rely on centralized servers. And these centralized servers are basically systems owned by anyone, and they can fail any day. You can find people saying, "Oh, our domain system today is down. Give us some time. We'll be back shortly," and stuff like that. So they can actually fail. But with the decentralized ecosystem, they're not controlled by anyone, so they provide more security. Then we are saying that the ENS is compatible with multiple blockchain, making it a versatile tool for managing crypto asset. And I think I've mentioned this. It doesn't mean that because now my domain name wanjiko.eth, because I own a domain name named wanjiko.eth, it means that I can only receive Ethereum to that ENS. I can actually map other wallet addresses for Bitcoin, for Litecoin, for Solana, any other coin. I can map their addresses to that Ethereum name service so that I can receive any other crypto across the board using the same Ethereum name service. So what are the challenges of this system? Number one, the gas fees. And we said Ethereum is the most expensive ecosystem in terms of gas fees and the fees that they charge. So number one, registering or renewing an ENS domain service requires gas fees, which can become easily costly depending on the network congestion. Number two, the name squatting. Just like traditional DNS, some users register popular or valuable name with the intent to resell them at a higher price. So that is basically what I was saying. We can actually use this as an investment strategy. Buy these names, and I've given an example. If you knew the internet way before, you could have bought safaricom.com. So years later, when Safaricom is now in business and they want to buy that domain name, they can come to you and buy. So that's the same thing. Because we are in Web 2, we are looking forward to moving to Web 3, which is also the blockchain. So when Safaricom will be in dire need of that Safaricom.eth ENS, they look for the owner, or rather the person who is currently owning that name, and they can actually resell that at a higher price. So ENS is becoming a key piece of Web3 infrastructure, simplifying how users interact with decentralized resources while maintaining the ethos of decentralization. Basically, we are saying that ENS, this is just a conclusion, that it's becoming a key Web3 infrastructure. That, in short, if you want to interact with the blockchain or the Web3 or crypto, it is very important to have an ENS. So let's look at how to make money with Ethereum name service. I think we've mentioned quite a few of them, but we have number one, flipping domains. We have leasing them or benefiting from airdrop. So let's start with flipping, domain flipping. Domain flipping involves purchasing an ENS domain name at a low price and reselling them for profit. That's what we've been discussing all this time. The value of an ENS depends on its uniqueness, branding potential, and the demand in the market. For example, cryptoinvestment.eth, an investor registers that for a small fee, list it for sale on OpenSea. OpenSea is basically a site that it also lists, what do we call this? NFTs. We look at NFTs sometime next week, but this way you can list NFTs. You can come and list all these ENS names and you can sell it. It's basically a marketplace where you can sell all these things. You can come, an NFT is like a digital artwork. So you can come and register from this site right here and sell them from this part. Why is it not loading? Okay, we have different types of this site. We have the OpenSea. We have another famous one for NFT called Rarible, if I'm not wrong. Let's see if it's this one. Yes. Has this opened? Not yet. Let me try and refresh that. Perfect. So you can see these are digital arts that people are selling. You can see this art right here is going for 0.9 floor. This one is going for 0. The floor price is going for 0.16 Ethereum, 0.27 ETH, and so on and so forth. So from this part, you can come and actually register your domain names and sell them from this site right here. Also, Rarible is the same. Don't know why it's not opening, but when it opens, I'll show you. So an investor will register that, then come and list it on OpenSea or Rarible, and they can actually sell. So a crypto-focused investment company may see the value in owning the domain for branding purposes and purchase it for thousands of dollars. So real life ENS sales example, you can also Google this. So someone went, registered Apple, Apple, potato, apple.eth, and they sold it for 28 Ethereum. At that time, at that specific time, I didn't add the years. I think I forgot. Then at that time, 28 Ethereum were worth $100,000. $100,000. If you are saying, if we convert this to Kenya shillings, and we assume that $1 is 100 bob, then it means this is around 10 million. Yeah, actually 10 million. 10 million Kenya shillings. So someone just bought this apple.eth maybe for even less than $50, and they sold it for 10 million Kenya shillings. Then you have Nike.eth. Nike.eth, someone bought this. You can Google this. They bought this ENS, held it until Nike was going, or rather were moving their system the blockchain, rather the Web3, and they were in dire need of this ENS name. So they approached the guy who owned it, and he sold it for 60 Ethereum. And at that time, it was around 20 million Kenya shillings. That is, if we are assuming that $1 equals 100 Kenya shillings. Amazon.eth received bids as high as 50 Ethereum, which is $100,000 plus. So, and this is basically the example that I was saying. Imagine registering Safaricom.eth today. If cryptocurrency adoption grows in Kenya, Safaricom might want to acquire it for branding purposes and could be willing to pay a significant sum. NB Safaricom has already been taken in 2020. This person holds and renews the ENS. We've seen that already. So in short, ENS is a form of investment in that when adoption gains masses in Kenya and Safaricom then needs to move to Web3 and the blockchain, they need to sell it for lots of money. Let's look if someone, because I know the first people to adopt this thing will be the banks. Let's see if equity.eth is actually available. Equity. You'll find there's a really smart person who has already bought it. Equity.eth, registered already. If you can see that, thumbs up. They're really smart people. Ruto. Let's see Ruto. If it's actually there. Let me try another site. That one is quite delaying. Let's see Ruto. Search a domain. Let's say Ruto.eth. You can see how cheap they go for. You have Ruto.fund, Ruto.org, $20, $400, and someone will resell these names for millions of dollars. But I don't know why it's I'm very sure that is what you can see. Ruto.eth is available for $175. So if you have $175 and you think Ruto will want to go into Web3, you can actually buy this domain and hold into it for only $175. Let's see this site. You can see even Ruto.eth. Yeah, he might come for your head. You can see Ruto.eth is available. Let's see on this site how much it's going for. They are giving this amount in Ethereum. But remember, we said instead of using your calculator, what you do, just copy that, go to your popular crypto aggregator, which is coinmarketcap.com. Under this products part, you'll see converter. Then you can decide to convert Ethereum. You want to see how much this is, Ethereum to USD dollar, and this much, not that one, this much. Hey, so from this side, they're actually selling for quite an amount, for $8,000 from this side. I might copied that wrongly. $8,000. That's quite a lot. 0.1058. But that's a lie. Even the price of one Ethereum is not that high. Let me copy again. Copy. I want this price in BTC. Oh, so this is in BTC. Sorry. It's supposed to be Ethereum. This is the amount. 1058. So 172. So it's almost the same price. So from ENS.domain is $175. If you go to Unstoppable Domains, it's also $175. So it's almost the same price. So let's look at, someone has mentioned Trump. Trump is pro crypto. I'm very sure this one is already owned by someone, or he owns it himself already. Trump.eth. Let's see. Taken. Already taken. So Trump.eth is already taken. Even I'm sure Elon.eth is already taken. So, So this is basically what you're saying. If you can use it as a form of investment, in that when the adoption finally has become unstoppable, then they look for you and try to get those domain names. Number two, another way of earning from this name, instead of is the listing of the ENS domains. So instead of selling an ENS name outright, like you sell it and it completely changes the ownership from you to that specific company, you can decide to lease it to businesses or individuals who need temporarily. For example, music.eth. If someone owns music.eth, they can lease it to a Web3 based music streaming platform. The platform will pay a recurring fee while the owner retains the control of the domain. So instead of selling it, what you can do is actually lease that domain. Number three, another way you can earn from ENS is airdrops and incentives. ENS domain holders have benefited from airdrops and governance incentives. For example, early ENS adopters received ENS tokens, which increased in value over time. So, any question before you look at the last part of this class? Any questions so far? Joseph?
Let us take an example like KenyaCryptoMagazine.com, and you register at KenyaCryptoMagazine.it. Can you take and add the blog to KenyaCryptoMagazine.it?
Yes.
The content we are seeing on Kenya Crypto Magazine, you see it on KenyaCryptoMagazine.it.
Yes, you can actually do that. I can decide to own Kenya Crypto, the ENS name KenyaCryptoMagazine.it, and I can use it on my website. You can actually access that as my website name. So it basically, these names of the ENS will work the same as the old or the traditional domain system, but it has more perks to it. I can receive crypto through it. I can send money through it. All those advantages that you've seen about using ENS. The only difference is that with the traditional, it's just a domain name that will change my IP address to a simple name like KenyaCryptoMagazine.com for people to access my website. But I cannot do anything else without that domain name. But with the ENS, I can attach all my Ethereum, I can attach all my crypto addresses to that name, and I can receive or send crypto using that Ethereum Name Service. Also, on top of that, I can use that to access decentralized applications, decentralized website using the same Ethereum Name Service. Is that okay? Ambrose, your hand is up. Ambrose, I can Yes, yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
I don't know whether I was near the phone or I was not, but I wanted to know whether we have any other. I mean, we can do the ENS in other formats,
Other formats like
like numeric, alphanumeric, because this is
what do you mean by alphanumeric? I can't quite get your question.
you may see 00.eth
Okay, let's try. I haven't tried that.
or 00 es.eth
00?
00 dot eth
Okay,
or 00 pr.eth, because when you look at the having to spell the letters is also, it can also be cumbersome. If you quote your ENS in numerical order 001 or 21 or 7272 dot eth.
Hey, you can see it's actually available. Let's try. Let's assume you are Joho and say Joho 001. Let's see. It's actually available for only $20. And you can see they're giving you two options. They are providing the traditional name service and also the Web3. Web3 to mean Ethereum name service. But for the DNS, the normal domain system, the traditional one, you can also get it as joho001.com. You can see that. So this unstoppable domain, you can actually come here to buy the both, the traditional name service or the Web3 name service, which is what we call the Ethereum name service. Let's see if my brand name is, for example, 123.eth.
Must be taken. That is so easy.
Taken, yeah. It's already taken. 123.eth. So you can use numbers or alphanumeric as Ambrose is saying. So just to cover the last part of this class, can you use brand names like Ethereum.eth or Amazon? Yeah. So while some individuals registered brand-related ENS, this can be risky due to the trademark. I think someone had mentioned this. Trademark laws, companies often reclaim their ENS names by purchasing them from the initial registrant. So if a person registers apple.eth or google.eth, they might approach them, Apple or Google might approach them to buy that domain. So once the company owns that ENS, it becomes unavailable for registration. I think we've done this already. So final thought, ENS domains offer a wide range of money-making opportunities, from flipping to leasing to benefiting from governance incentives. So as a Web3 adoption grows, ENS names will become even more valuable. So it's better even I get wanjikokaranja.eth or something. We've seen Wanjiko Karanja is available, so I can get wanjikokaranja.eth, but I'm not in so much hurry. We still have a long way before we start this fully adoption of the Web3 ecosystem. Any question before we end this class? If everything is clear to that point, kindly thumbs up. So just a question before we end. How many ways have we learned so far of making money in crypto? How many ways of making money in crypto have we learned so far? You can mention each that we've learned so far. And we are yet to cover trading. What have we learned so far that can actually make you money in crypto? Ambrose? Yeah, pardon, I didn't quite get you. Hodling, yeah, buy and hold. Yes, Pius?
participating in private sales, IOs, ICOs, and IDOs.
Yes. In short, we can call them crypto project funding. And under that, we looked at private sales, we looked at ICOs, IEOs, IDOs, we looked at pre-sales, we looked at launchpad, the Binance launchpad, the Bitget launchpad. Yes, so that's correct. Let's have Joseph.
Mining.
Have we covered mining yet? But yes, you might have mentioned it in passing. So mining. Who else has the hand up? Mining, that's also correct. But we'll also look in depth about mining. Thomas, you want to mention another one?
I just wanted to add active trading on a regular basis and also the one we just learned now, domain naming.
Yes.
ETH.
Yes, the domain of there's active trading, but I wanted us to mention the ones that we've covered already. So yes, the Ethereum Name Service. Trading will cover that later. Pius?
A P2P merchant.
Yes, you can become a P2P merchant. You can decide to participate in P2P. Okay, there's one that you guys are leaving out, and we covered last week. Ambrose?
Airdrops.
Airdrops, we look at airdrops tomorrow. We have not yet done airdrops, but we mentioned, by the way, we mentioned that when we are talking about ways of acquiring crypto, airdrops was mentioned. So yeah, I'll take it, airdrops. But we look at airdrops tomorrow in depth. So airdrops. Anyway, the one that I wanted us to mention is actually buying coins on the decentralized exchanges. We did that last week. Decentralized exchanges. I did not dig deep into how to analyze coins on the decentralized exchange because I figured that should be a different course on its own. A totally different course on its own. It's a lot of things that we need to learn. But anyway, it's also a way of earning money in crypto. So, and with that, I'll end this class. See each other tomorrow for. Joseph, you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between farming, staking, and crypto project funding under launch pools?
Yes, there's a very big difference. Do not worry about that. There's a totally different class on farming and staking. In fact, staking we look at, I'll combine staking with masternodes because they are almost the same thing. So we look at staking and masternodes. Farming, we will do that also separately. Is that okay? Yeah, perfect. And with that, I'll end this class at that juncture. We see each other tomorrow for airdrops. Bye bye, guys. Good night.